John Mark Eberhart was born in 1960 in St. Joseph, Missouri. He is the author of two poetry collections, Night Watch from 2005 and Broken Time from 2008, both published by Mid-America Press. Broken Time was a finalist for the 2009 Philip Mann Award. Two forthcoming anthologies, John Updike Remembered and Native Son, John Updike's Pennsylvania Interviews, will feature interviews he conducted with the late writer-poet. His poems and prose pieces have appeared in many publications, including New Letters, Pleiades, the Mid-America Poetry Review, Cold City Review, and Mark Eberhart currently lives in Kansas City. Many of us remember him as the arts and entertainment editor who was very good of heart to all of us and generous in the good things he gave us and said about us. Now these are the words of John Mark. Hi everyone. I'm truly sorry I can't be there at the Writer's Place tonight to read from my work. And I'm even more regretful that I can't spend time with you, my friends, chatting and catching up. The holiday season was challenging for me. My doctors found more cancer. From Election Day to New Year's, I had more than 30 radiation treatments. Because one tumor was in my neck, I received what oncologists euphemistically refer to as a scatter dose that affected my throat. Scatter dose hell. I call it gargle with razor blades. Think of it this way. Armed only with the diabolical machine and his wily wits, one single person, a radiation oncologist, has accomplished something that has defied all others. He has forced me to shut up. So, my voice is too cracked and broken to read to you tonight. My body is too exhausted even to stand for more than a few minutes. But it's good to have friends in writerly places, and have them I do. They're going to read a few of my poems tonight, and I'm going to get better and see you soon and talk your ear off.
Don't worry, I'm not reading the whole notebook. I've got two short poems, one from each of John Mark's books. This is from Night Watch. Killing rabbits. I don't do that anymore, but I did in my youth, when a shotgun blast sounded like manhood to me. As always, this morning, I brewed coffee. The dogs mined the field behind the farmhouse. The smaller dog found the hole in the ground, worried his nose into it, pulled them into the light. 4 baby rabbits. He played with them till they died, barked and stood over them. My father hated rabbits, hated hunting them, couldn't abide the smell. In Germany in World War II, he lived part of a bitter December on rabbits, raw, their bones poking through the skin after he'd stripped off their fur with his bayonet. I don't think of him much anymore, but I remember something he used to say. I know what it feels to be the rabbit. How many of you recognize the phrase Klaatu Barada Nikto? Any hands? If you do, you're, like John Mark and me, a fan of the sci-fi movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, in which an extremely handsome space alien, Michael Rennie, tries to bring a message of peace to Earth and is received very hostilely. This is Gort. Every time the robot comes out of the ship, I think, this time, it will be different. Every time Bernard Herrmann's music rises behind the metal man, I think we humans cannot really be that bad, but the scene is always the same.
All right, thank you. This first poem is called Just One Ghost. I pulled this poem out of an anthology edited by Gloria Vando and Phil Miller called Chance of Ghost. It's by John Mark Eberhart. One night in St. Joseph's Crude Park, my mother and grandmother said they felt something wicked. My aunt slammed the car door. We drove away from whatever it was that lay hidden in the night. One day on a tour of a British castle in a hall of stones reputedly haunted, a man who declared himself an atheist not 5 minutes before came back around a blind corner and told our guide he'd seen a column of light, trembling white. He insisted it had shouted out his name. One morning last summer in a Colorado ghost town, my wife saw a woman's hand waving from the window of an old silver miner's cabin. Our dog growled, tucked his tail, and ran to the Jeep to cower. Now the years are piling on. Give me just one ghost, a feather touch from behind, a whisper, the faint scent of my grandma's double mint gum, but all I taste is dust. This is called Gospel of the Dirt. Darwin derided yet believed in God, or rather could not quite let him go. Aboard the Beagle his faith wavered, rocked by the beauties of the sea. If creatures no one ever saw could be so lovely, what then of the logic of the first cause? The question rankled. His daughter Annie died. Forced to give her to the earth, he compelled the earth to give to him. Fossils, barnacles, the stomach of an owl, a marvel of the malleable. After The Origin of Species was published, a journalist jeered that Darwin's was the gospel of the dirt. A cartoonist stole the scientist's solemn face, mocked it, gave it the body of an ape. Darwin lived, Darwin aged, his beard turned white. Near the end, he looked almost avuncular, a bollard Jehovah. In his follicles, cells divided, begat. In his world as in ours, creatures, unwitting, made their selections, lived in their own scales, feathers, skin. Each molecule its own genesis. With every new day above ground, creation began. Thank you.
I think we know that John Mark loves music as well as poetry. This is about a blues man. Blind Willie Johnson. All the other bluesmen played the bars, but Blind Willie played in church instead. Both places fed the hungry faces of the blues. At the tavern and the altar, the women sang along. Willie couldn't keep good time. His rhythms ran like children playing in the dark down by the creek. His singing voice was loud and low and froggy. When my first wife left, she left his records with me. I used to fight with that woman over Willie. I'd call him a genius and she'd call me a fool. I'd turn down the lights to get her in the mood. She'd turn up the TV and flip the bird at me. I've got a new wife, but I want my old one back. Just for one night, so I can prove myself right I'd get her in my car and buckle her up tight. I'd turn up the radio and here's what I'd say. Let's go to Texas and dig up Blind Willie's bones. Give him a guitar and see if he still has the blues. I don't mean to be bitter, but you need to reconsider. Let's go to Texas. Hear the preacher play the blues. And this is about opposites, saints and witches. The arrogance of a blessing, the madness of a curse. So we burn them both at the stake and let time do its work. Yay, John Mark.
This is called Skeletons. These houses I visit with my father are skeletons. Two carpenters, more like tailors, were dressing up all the skeletons. We bring them heavy clothes to warm their wooden bones. My dad smiles at me when we're with the skeletons. We both love the skeletons. We tap them here and there, tap, tap with our hammers, and drive the nails through the plywood, buttoning coats for the skeletons. We're clumsy with each other, but we're a perfect fit for the skeletons. When we're at home, the walls close in, my sad mom, my dad raging, my grandmother shrieking. We're always at peace with the skeletons. I wish we could lock ourselves in, live with the skeletons. But the sun pulls us home. We cross the river beyond the help of the skeletons. And this is called the acoustics of arterial walls. Crickets, I thought at first, but they don't buzz when the ground huddles under fall's first frost. Incurable tinnitus, the doctors chorus. I've heard the experts' theories. Some say I have jackhammers and electric guitars to thank, the sins of a young man who worked too hard, played too loud. Or maybe it's just middle age, the roughening of arterial walls. I fear that theory. Picture my blood banging its way around blockages of brittle arterial fat, making noises only I can hear. But we all die trying, don't we? Cigarettes, mayonnaise, beer, ice cream, croissants. I'm done with all of them. I'll check my cholesterol, cut my work days back, try to relax, substitute tennis for Tennyson, jog, hike, pump, pedal, bike, bake in the sauna. But this is the night watch, the merciless clock winding down, the arterial walls clearing their throats for the big finale. Listen.
If there's anything I would have to say about my Uncle John Mark, it's that he is the funniest man alive. The first poem I'm going to read is one that he wrote about my dad, called Remembrance, and I cannot elaborate on how many times I have heard stories about when they were kids. Remembrance. My brother claims to recall the contours of the womb, the way it felt to kick his feet against the world. He carries with him a mental disposition of my abuses, how I smashed his toy cars and shot him with a BB gun, locked him in the cellar on Halloween night. I don't remember such things at all, but I'm sure I'm guilty. This next one is from used as the title of the book, Broken Time, and he made this into a song that is one of my favorites. My dad actually did the cover of it and put it on YouTube, and I listen to it a lot. Broken Time. The couch, cigarette starved, the ivies taking on the nose, a flickering bulb, an empty stein, a scattering of ashes. But the music plays on, slow jazz counterpoint at the war on the silent TV. The cannabis burns, the beer goes down. I'm going to get up in a while. I'm going to clean this house from end to end. I'm going to get zealous tomorrow. Tomorrow is rock and roll, rooms, mops, bass drums. Give me a backbeat and I can conquer the world. But this night, time for broken time. The bassist lays out, the drummer loses the beat. A piano note lingers, curls in the smoke. I look at the clock as the second hand ticks, and you bury your neck for a kiss. Thank you.
And I'm going to close with this one that John Mark wrote about Sherry. It's called Cameo. It's nearly impossible now for me to believe you were my wife for a while. You were fine, but not delicate, smallish, but not fragile. On the worst nights, I walk sleepless through our house and look at objects. There are many of these. I will reveal only one, a cameo locket. I am compelled to compare you with this thing, for it was your silhouette I loved the most. That sharp chin, pert nose, and if the curve of a human skull can be called elegant, yours was. The cameo does not stare back at me. Silhouettes do not do so, nor do the dead. Near this object lies a collection of Beckett's work. I keep them both where you left them. When you died, you were studying lines for a part. It was that absurd play, But Aren't They All, where two characters live in trash cans, and some nights I would watch you as you read the thing, clearly delighted. In-game, it was called. And then yours came. Foolishly, I kept looking for you, as if you were a lost charm one might turn up in an odd place. But you were gone. You were my cameo, my bas-relief, my comic relief. You had a brief part in my play, didn't you? And that brings us to the end of our reading for John Mark. And I'm sure that he is delighted that all of you came tonight, and I know that he would want you to celebrate. So we have some wine and some food, and we thank you all for coming, and we hope you stick around to just visit.